If you thought this offseason was going to be calm for the Commanders, you're completely mistaken. I've got 3 pieces of news that will change everything you thought you knew about what's going on in Ashburn. And I guarantee that when I finish explaining it all, you'll understand why this could be the most important offseason in recent franchise history. First, we have strategic moves that go far beyond what they appear on the surface and reveal Josh Harris's true long-term vision and his team's. Second, the situation with our star receiver, Terry McLaurin, is intensifying in ways that could completely change the dynamics of our offense. And I'm going to explain exactly why every day without resolution brings us closer to a point of no return. And third, get ready because there are rumors of a trade that could not only explode the internet, but could completely redefine our offensive strategy for the next 5 years. Let's start with something the main media is treating as a footnote, but in reality, it reveals everything about the fundamental transformation occurring in this organization. The Washington Commanders just extended their strategic partnership with iHeartMedia, ensuring live broadcasts continue on Big 100.3 FM. But this goes far beyond just keeping the radio running. This partnership, which originally began in 2022, is expanding to include a massive digital presence, podcast programming throughout the year, streaming capabilities, and what seems most important to me, live events that connect directly with the community. Aaron Hyland, the region president of iHeartMedia DC, didn't just talk about continuing broadcasts. He specifically mentioned leveraging the power of audio across multiple platforms with broadcast, podcast, and streaming to deliver even more access, energy, and unforgettable game day moments. Do you know what this means in real terms? It means that for the first time in decades, this franchise is seriously investing in its regional reach, in building a fan base beyond the DMV, in creating an experience that goes beyond Sundays. Jim Rushton, our Chief Partnerships Officer, was very specific when he said they're building the future that we're creating for Commanders fans, and that they're laying the foundation for even more innovative programming. Here's what nobody is mentioning. This extension includes year-round coverage of Commanders, archived games, behind-the-scenes content, exclusive interviews, and constant team updates. But most significant are the in-person experiences they're planning. Commanders draft parties, training camp events, and integration with iHeartMedia signature events like Hot 99.5's Jingle Ball, WMZQ Fest, DCUN Zero Wonderland, and Wash for Kids Radiothon. Do you realize what this represents? During Dan Snyder's years, this franchise was toxic for brands. Nobody wanted to associate with us. Sponsors walked away. The media treated us like pariahs, and the DMV community had basically canceled us. Now we have a major media company expanding its partnership with us, investing in joint events, and talking about the future as if we were a premium brand. This isn't just about radio. It's about legitimacy. It's about showing that we're a stable, professional organization worthy of long-term investment. When iHeartMedia decides to expand its relationship with us, they're betting on our reputation as a franchise that will be relevant and successful in the years to come. And do you know what else this tells me? It tells me that Josh Harris and his team understand something fundamental that the previous administration never got. Success in the modern NFL isn't just about winning games. It's about building a brand that transcends football. It's about creating emotional connections with fans, being part of the cultural fabric of your city, generating loyalty that lasts for generations. Think about this. When was the last time you heard someone talk about innovative programming for the Commanders? When was the last time a company talked about deepening connections with the community in relation to us? This is the difference between being owned by someone who saw the team as their personal toy versus being owned by professionals who understand. We're in the entertainment business. But here's another crucial angle. This expansion of media presence gives us leverage in all our other negotiations. When negotiating with players, agents, other teams, everyone knows we have a major media partner promoting our brand constantly. That makes us more attractive as a destination, more valuable as a trading partner, and more respected as an organization. Now, if that first news calmed you about the franchise's direction, get ready because what's coming is going to considerably raise your stress level. Terry McLaurin, our number one receiver, our team captain, the man who's literally carried this offense on his shoulders during the darkest years of this franchise, is completely absent from all OTAs and minicamps. And it's not because of an injury, not because of a family emergency, it's because of a contract dispute intensifying with each passing day. Let's go to the facts. McLaurin is set to earn $19 million this year, which is the last year of his current contract. He wants an extension now, before the season starts, and apparently, the negotiations aren't going well. He has missed all 3 days of minicamp, which automatically costs him more than $100,000 in fines, although the team has the discretion to waive those fines if they want. Adam Schefter appeared on the Pat McAfee show and gave some critical insights into this situation. He said he believes the team will eventually get a deal done with McLaurin, but that Terry McLaurin is clearly very frustrated with where the talks are right now. Schefter also pointed out that McLaurin is headed into the last year of his contract. He wants a new deal, certainly deserving of a new deal. But here's the part that worries me the most. Schefter admitted that the two sides just aren't there right now, and that while it's easy to rattle sabers and not show on June 12th, it would be a different thing when camps start or getting close to the preseason. His exact quote was, "If this is going on by August 12th, then it becomes a major concern." Do you understand the gravity of this? We're talking about potentially losing our best receiver, our team leader, just when we finally have a quarterback who can maximize his talent. After years of watching Terry catch passes from quarterbacks like Dwayne Haskins, Taylor Heineke, and Carson Wentz, we finally have Jayden Daniels who can actually get him the ball consistently. And now, we might lose Terry because we can't agree. On money, let's analyze McLaurin's perspective for a moment. This man was selected with the 76th overall pick in the 3rd round out of Ohio State in 2019. He signed a 4-year, $3.962 million rookie contract. When he was set to become an unrestricted free agent, in 2023, he signed a 3-year, $71 million extension that keeps him under contract until 2025. But look at his numbers from last year. 82 receptions on 117 targets for 1,096 yards and 13 touchdowns. That's a 13.4 yards per catch average, which is elite production. More importantly, he was instrumental in helping Jayden Daniels win Offensive Rookie of the Year. Without Terry McLaurin's reliability and leadership, do you think Jayden would have had the same success? Here's my real analysis of this situation, and you need to hear this. Terry McLaurin has every right to be frustrated. This man has been the consistency of this franchise during years of absolute mediocrity. He never complained when he was catching passes from backup quarterbacks. He never complained when the offensive line couldn't protect anyone. He never complained when we had coaches who didn't know how to use his talent. He was professional. During the Alex Smith injury saga, he was professional during the Dwayne Haskins disaster. He was professional during the Ron Rivera years when the offense was completely dysfunctional. And now that we finally have a quarterback who can maximize his abilities, now that we finally have a coaching staff who understands how to use elite talent, now that we're finally competitive, he has to fight to get paid what he deserves. But here's what worries me about this whole situation. The timing is terrible for everyone involved. We're coming off our best season in years. Jayden Daniels is entering his 2nd year, which is crucial for his development. We finally have momentum. We finally have hope. And now we're dealing with this distraction that could derail everything. From Terry's perspective, he's 29 years old. In receiver years, that's getting close to the prime to decline transition. He knows this might be his last chance to get a truly elite contract. He's seen what happened to other receivers who waited too long, who bet on themselves and ended up getting less money because of age or injury concern. From the team's perspective, they're trying to manage the salary cap while building a championship roster. They've got to pay Jayden Daniels eventually. They've got other players who need extensions, and they're trying to build depth throughout the roster, not just focus on one player. But here's what both sides need to understand. This franchise cannot afford to lose Terry McLaurin, not just because of his on-field production, but because of what he represents. He's been the face of this franchise during the worst years. He's been loyal when he could have easily requested a trade. He's been professional when other players were creating drama. If we let Terry McLaurin walk, or if we trade him, what message does that send to other players? What message does that send to Jaden Daniels? What message does that send to the fan base who has finally started to believe? And when you thought we'd covered all the drama, when you thought the McLaurin contract situation was the most explosive thing that could happen, this absolute bombshell appears that could change everything. Chase Sr. from Chat Sports is proposing a direct trade between Brandon Ayuk of the 49ers and Terry McLaurin. Can you believe this? While we're dealing with McLaurin's contract dispute, while we're trying to figure out how to keep our best receiver happy, suddenly there's an option that could solve multiple problems at once, or it could create even bigger problems depending on how you look at it. Let's break down exactly what's happening with Brandon Ayuk, because this story has more layers than an onion. Ayuk, who was selected by the 49ers in 2020, went through his own contract dispute last year. He stretched his holdout all the way through preseason games before eventually signing a 4-year, $120 million deal to stay in San Francisco. But guess what? He's back on the sidelines this offseason, although for different reasons. He suffered a torn ACL in Week 7 last season, and the expectation is that he'll be forced to miss his second straight training camp. While Ayuk has been present and reportedly encouraging his teammates during workouts, there are rumors that he's upset with the 49ers organization and may prefer to play somewhere else. And here's where it gets really interesting. Ayuk posted a picture on his Instagram story of an iconic shot of Hall of Famer Terrell Owens working out in his driveway. Do you remember that original photo? It was taken when Owens was in an argument with his then Philadelphia Eagles team that led to an ugly situation and him being released soon after. Is Ayuk insinuating a similar message? Is this a rollout of some sort of trade request? That's up for interpretation, but it happens to align perfectly with our awkward situation involving Terry McLaurin. But here's where this proposed trade gets absolutely fascinating. The personnel connections cannot be ignored. Adam Peters, our general manager, helped draft both Deebo Samuel and Brandon Ayuk when he was in San Francisco. He knows Ayuk's skill set probably better than anyone outside of San Francisco. He understands how Ayuk pairs with Samuel because he literally constructed that receiving corps. Ayuk, who remains friends with Deebo Samuel, is also close with his former college teammate at Arizona State, Jaden Daniels. Do you realize what this means? We're talking about potentially reuniting college teammates who already have established chemistry, adding that to an existing friendship with Deebo Samuel. Can you imagine Jaden Daniels with his college teammate, along with Deebo Samuel, forming a trio of receivers that already has chemistry both on and off the field? It would be like reuniting a band that already knows how to play together. The potential for explosive plays, for understanding each other's tendencies, for having that natural rhythm that takes years to develop with most receiver quarterback combinations. From a salary cap perspective, this trade could actually work for both teams. The 49ers could potentially save money by trading away Ayuk's $30 million average salary contract and signing McLaurin to a less expensive extension. Ayuk's contract is backloaded pretty heavily over the next 3 years, so San Francisco might actually welcome the opportunity to restructure their receiver room. For the Commanders, we'd be getting one of the most talented receivers in the NFL, someone who's proven he can produce at an elite level, and someone who already has multiple connections to our organization. Ayuk's friendship with Samuel, his college relationship with Daniels, and Peters' familiarity with his game could create immediate chemistry that typically takes seasons to develop. But here's where I need to be completely honest with you. Part of me hates this idea. Terry McLaurin has been everything you want in a franchise player. He's been loyal during terrible years. He's been professional during chaotic situations. He's been productive regardless of who was throwing him the ball. He's been a leader in the locker room and in the community. Trading away Terry McLaurin would feel like betraying everything we claim to value about loyalty, about rewarding players who stick with us through difficult times, about building a culture where players want to stay long-term. McLaurin didn't just produce for us, he believed in us when nobody else. But from a purely football perspective, Brandon Ayuk might actually be the better player right now. He's 2 years younger than McLaurin. He's coming off a season where He had 75 receptions for 1,342 yards and 8 touchdowns before his injury. His yards per reception average was 17.9, compared to McLaurin's 13.4. He's proven he can be productive in a high-powered offense with elite quarterback. The college connection with Jaden Daniels cannot be understated. College chemistry often translates to immediate NFL success. We've seen it countless times, where former college teammates have an instant rapport that gives them a competitive advantage. Add that to the fact that Aiyuk and Deebo Samuel already know how to work together, and you're looking at potentially the most dangerous receiving trio in the NFL. From Adam Peters' perspective, this trade might actually be brilliant. He'd be getting a player he personally helped develop, a player he knows can handle the pressure of being a #1 receiver, and a player who fits perfectly into the culture he's trying to build. Peters understands Aiyuk's work ethic, his personality, his ability to contribute to team chemistry. But here's what really concerns me about this whole situation. We're potentially making decisions based on contract disputes rather than on football merit. If we trade McLaurin primarily because we don't want to pay him, rather than because we think Aiyuk is a better fit for our team, then we're making the same mistakes that bad franchises make all the time. Great organizations find ways to keep their best players happy. Great organizations invest in loyalty and reward players who have contributed to their success. Great organizations don't let contract negotiations turn into public disputes that damage relationships. Here's my complete theory about what's really happening behind the scenes, and when you see all these pieces together, you'll understand why this might be the most important offseason in decades for this franchise. Adam Peters is not just reacting to situations, he's orchestrating them. The iHeartMedia extension shows long-term stability and demonstrates that this organization is committed to building something sustainable. It's not just about this season, it's about creating a foundation for sustained success. The McLaurin contract situation is creating leverage for both sides, but it's also creating options that didn't exist before. Peters knows that McLaurin wants to stay, but he also knows that he has alternatives. The Aiyuk rumors aren't just speculation, they're strategic leaks designed to apply pressure and create negotiating power. Peters is playing chess while others are playing checkers. He's using his connections, his knowledge of available players, and his understanding of the market to create multiple scenarios where the Commanders come out ahead. If McLaurin accepts a reasonable extension, great. If he doesn't, Peters has a plan B that might actually be better than plan A. But here's the most important part of my theory. None of these moves are happening in isolation. The media partnership expansion, the contract negotiations, the trade rumors, they're all part of a comprehensive strategy to transform this franchise from a laughingstock into a premier destination. Think about it. If you're a free agent and you see that the Commanders have expanded media coverage, have resolved their star player situations professionally, have a young franchise quarterback, and have a GM who can make creative moves to improve the roster, doesn't that make Washington a more attractive destination? If you're another GM and you see that Adam Peters has multiple options, has strong relationships throughout the league, and has the flexibility to make moves when necessary, doesn't that make you more likely to engage in fair negotiations rather than trying to lowball us? If you're a fan and you see that your team is making strategic long-term investments, is handling player relationships professionally, and has the creativity to improve the roster through multiple avenues, doesn't that make you more confident about the future? This is how you build a championship organization, not just by making one good move, but by creating a systematic approach where every decision reinforces your long-term vision. So, what should happen next? Here's my recommendation on how Adam Peters should handle each of these situations. First, resolve the McLaurin situation immediately. Don't let it drag into training camp. Either pay him what he deserves or make the trade now. Uncertainty kills momentum, and we can't afford to have distractions when Jaden Daniels is entering his crucial second season. Second, if we do trade McLaurin, the return has to be significant. Aiyuk alone might not be enough. We'd need additional compensation, because we're not just trading a player, we're trading a leader and a fan favorite. Third, use the media partnership expansion to control the narrative. Whatever happens with McLaurin, the organization needs to communicate clearly. with the fans about the reasoning behind their decisions. No more mystery. No more letting speculation run wild. But ultimately, I think we should pay Terry McLaurin. Not just because he's a great player, but because he represents everything we want this franchise to be. He's loyal, he's professional, he's productive, and he's earned the right to be rewarded. If we establish a precedent that loyalty and production are rewarded, it makes every future negotiation easier. Players will know that if they buy into the program, they'll be taken care of. Agents will know that we're an organization that honors our commitments. But if McLaurin really wants, if the relationship is truly damaged beyond repair, then the Ayak trade starts to make sense. We'd be getting a younger, potentially more talented player who has existing relationships with our quarterback and our other star receiver. We'd be building chemistry rather than trying to repair damaged relationships. Regardless of how these situations resolve, one thing is clear. The Washington Commanders are no longer a passive organization that lets things happen. We're actively shaping our destiny. We're making strategic moves, and we're building something sustainable. The iHeartMedia partnership shows we're thinking beyond football. The McLaurin situation shows we're willing to make tough decisions based on business realities. The Ayak rumors show we have options and aren't desperate. This is what competent management looks like. This is what it means to be a professional organization. After decades of chaos, uncertainty, and embarrassment, we finally have leaders who understand how to build a championship culture. But with great power comes great responsibility. These decisions will define whether we're contenders for the next decade or whether we're just another team that had potential but couldn't execute. The stakes couldn't be higher. Give it a like if you think we should pay McLaurin whatever it takes. Give it a dislike if you prefer exploring the Ayak trade. And in the comments, tell me exactly what you think Adam Peters should do, because your opinion matters, and I read every single comment. Subscribe because tomorrow we're going to have exclusive analysis on the salary cap implications of each scenario, and you don't want to miss that breakdown. Activate notifications because this story is developing in real time and you need to stay updated. This is your Commanders family, and together we're going to experience every moment of what could be the most important offseason in franchise history. Whatever happens, we're going to be ready. And remember, hail to the Redskins!